You guys ready to go? So we'll just dive into it.
Alright, let's do this shit.
Word.
Right after this text.
Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Reviewers Assemble. Thank you for joining us today. We're doing Avengers Age of Ultron, which is the next movie we're doing here. I'm Kyle, your host, joined by Garrett and Vic, back to the original crew that kicked it all off here with Iron Man, and then, what was the other movie?
The first two? I don't even know.
We don't talk about that movie?
Yeah. Oh, Hulk. Garbage. Yeah.
Yeah, the garbage movie.
The trash man.
But yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with the format, what we're going to do just kind of quickly is go over our favorite scenes from the movie, our worst scenes. We're going to just talk quickly about it. We're going to do what we call the strongest Avenger, which is our favorite actor or actress. And then what we call baby arms, which is the weakest. We're going to give it a score, and we're going to see where it kind of fits into the MCU rankings. So yeah, I think we usually start off, Vic, if you want to just give kind of your initial thoughts or maybe a quick recap on...
Yeah, just a quick recap. So this is post-Avengers, which is cool because we know the whole group has been together. Mm-hmm. They've all worked together. They're getting to know each other a little bit. And obviously we've introduced some new characters like Falcon, Natasha Romanoff and Cap are a little bit closer. They worked, a lot closer in Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going on. We get, I think, 4 new characters introduced with Vision, Wanda, what's Wanda's brother's name?
I think Quicksilver.
Mm-hmm. And there was one more I counted. Man, who am I thinking of? Anyway, but a few new characters, a brand new bad guy, which is really cool. We get to see Clue. We have a little intro into Endgame at some point. Mm-hmm. So a lot of foreshadowing in this one, which I thought was really cool. Overall, I feel like this is the most action-packed movie we've seen so far. That's just my opinion. We'll dig into that later, but I feel like it's go, go, go the whole time and very little conversing, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, so Garrett, do you want to kick it off with best scenes overall?
Best scene, well, we weren't on camera, but Kyle was talking about the party scene. I really do think that's probably the most entertaining out of everything, just due to the fact that you get to see all the characters kind of let loose.
Like when they're all just like shooting the shit?
Yeah. It just kind of puts them more into a relatable sense. Like, they're enjoying it.
They're wearing like dress clothes too.
Yeah, they just defeated Hydra. They're, having a good time. They're having a few drinks.
Revels, right? Thor says.
Revels, yeah.
And just basically a good time, and Thor throws his hammer down on the table. They all take their turns trying to pick it up.
Great scene.
And Captain America makes a move a little, and that kind of sparks Thor's interest.
Such a good camera pan there where he moves a little bit, and it cuts to Thor, and he's so surprised.
Yeah. Like, what? And so just a lot of fun there. So I really think easily the best scene for me, maybe for all of us, but just kind of different than what we're used to in most of these movies, especially when they're all together in an Avengers.
Yeah, going off of what Garrett said, I think the party scene is the one that sticks out for me. That was really cool. I love the little part where Don Cheadle's telling the joke to Thor and Tony, and he says he's like, "Boom, you looking for this?" And they don't laugh at all. Yeah. And he's like, "Why do I even talk to you guys?" And then he tells it later to just a group of people at the party, and they all laugh, and he's like, he's like that joke does
that kills with everybody else.
Yeah, that kills with everybody else. Yeah. Don Cheadle's good. I think he's not in a ton of this movie, but I think
he was pretty good in it.
I think he's good. Yeah, he comes in late with the fight, this War Machine and everything, but that's the one that sticks out to me. I really like the introduction to Ultron too, where he walks out, he stumbles out after he starts taking over I think it's called the Iron Legion for Tony. His
Legionnaire.
Yeah, the suits that he sends out. That's really cool, I think, because it's just creepy, and it's this is probably one of the more menacing villains that we get so far, because he stumbles out there. I think it's James Spader, right, that voices him. I think Robert California, I think from The Office. I think we touched on this briefly. But then they put a robotic spin or kind of a demonic touch to his voice there, but he's really good. I thought the action scenes were pretty good. Vic, I know you said it's action packed. I didn't think that. I thought the opening scene was kind of weird. It's because the movie starts off like right with an action scene where they're trying to get to the twins, but like just something felt a little off to me about that one. I don't know what it was because it's all like here's the Hulk smashing stuff and here's Cap going by and Tony's trying to get the barrier down in. Like I think it's all good and like goes to their strengths, but like I don't know, it just felt kind of weird. I
kind of like that intro, and it reminded me of the scene in the first Cap when they're running through the woods with just the ordinary soldiers, and I thought that was a cool little like connection there. But I don't know, I thought it was cool because they're finally a team.
They're working together as a team.
And that's how it starts off. It's like Avengers happened. They're flash forwarding to still trying to take down all of Hydra, and they're working together as a team. So it's kind of like you're right. It's a little bit of an abrupt intro. It's not very smooth, but it just starts off with ass kicking.
But this is the second Avengers, so like we already saw them fight in the first Avengers, so like we're kind of past that, and now
they just want to throw you right into everything.
Yeah.
Like you know who these people are. Let's just get right back to the action.
It's not an origin story.
Left off.
Exactly. It's not an origin story.
Another best scene though that I just thought of, maybe one of my favorite scenes is the Hulkbuster versus Hulk scene. Like, that's where you first see Hulkbuster. That whole scene is awesome.
When he used the fist to like lock onto him and starts dragging him up, and
when he continuously punches him in the face, and he's like, "Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep."
Those are pretty good.
Those are great.
So for me, and you just asked this question. So Dr. Cho, something like that. I forget her name.
The one that gets mind controlled.
Yes, the Asian woman. So she's working on developing what they didn't know was going to be Vision. It was supposed to be for Ultron's body, and they steal it back, so they have it in their possession. Tony's working on it, and Tony and Cap get into a fight about it, and they're about to fight over it, and Quicksilver like knocks out all the electric, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden Thor shows up out of nowhere after he had his vision and knows about the stones and everything like that, and he pulls the electricity, zaps him, and Vision wakes up like ready to fight people, and then he's like, hold on, I'm sorry, that was strange. And it's like really weird. I don't know why, but like that was just like a cool scene. And then Vision just like develops a cape like out of nowhere and like his little armor and finishes his whole outfit. I don't know why, that just looked like such a sick scene. And right away, they trusted Vision to be a part of the team. It was just like a really cool intro for me. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of sick fight scenes in this, but I was trying to look outside of the box as far as cool scenes. I just thought that was awesome. It's like the most abrupt and coolest intro for a new character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think jumping ahead to worse scenes here, the mind control where Wanda is controlling everyone. I do like the little quip where she tries to mind control Jeremy Renner, and then we know like he got mind controlled by the scepter or whatever in Avengers, and then he like turns at her and like shocks her in the head, and he's like, I'm not a big fan of the mind control. I was like, good. Oh, that's a good like touch because they're touched on Avengers there, but like I thought that was kind of weird that she was just like easily able to mind control like everyone else, like. And like
except for what, Thor?
Well, no, because he does.
I am mighty.
He says like it's not going to work on me, but then he does get.
It does work, yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool because like he thinks he's like he's like I'm too mighty for it. He's like it's going to work on human brains or whatever, but then he's like back in Asgard.
And he like talks to what's his name, the black dude, Heimdall.
Oh yeah, he's got the crazy eyes.
Yeah.
And he's like your eyes, and he's like he said you killed us all or something. Kind of branching off of that, another worse scene I thought was when Thor goes to like the waters to see like to resume his vision. I was like, I don't know what this is.
With Selvig.
They didn't. Yeah, with Selvig, and I was like, they don't like explain that at all. He's just like, oh, if I go into these waters, I can continue. Like, my
to
vision.
See his vision, and that's when he finds out the stones are coming, and they even show a shadow. Of the glove, I can't even think what it's called.
Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah.
Oh, do they?
They show it was like a shadow of it, and he saw it, and that's when he comes out, and then obviously at the end we see Thanos. So we
get the post credits.
Yeah, we're starting to flash forward a little bit here, or you know what I mean. So for me, the worst scene, and I don't know why it bothered me. It was like too much like testosterone, which is weird for me to say. But when they're at Clint's house, his wife's house, and they're like on the farm. And Tony and Cap are splitting wood, and they're like...
Oh, that was your worst scene?
They're just kind of arguing and, like, seeing who has the bigger dick. And it was just...
Cap just rips the log...
like, too pissed off, and then... I don't know, like, Nat was all emotional. She's talking about running away with Hulk, or Bruce, really. And then, what's-his-name shows up? Fury shows up. I don't know, just
Oh yeah.
like from an emotional standpoint, like looking at the characters, I liked that they were just kind of hanging out. Like they showed their more human side. Like they needed to recover and recoup, and I respect that aspect. But it was more the Tony and Cap thing that pissed me off. And looking forward into Civil War, like the rift is starting. Like they have different views on everything.
But isn't that like a strength too? Because they're kind of building that doubt.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you could call it a strength, but it like. No one I've already seen Civil War and what happens there. We won't give anything away now, but it just you feel it coming.
Yeah.
Even at the end, they're like, "Oh, you know, I'm gonna miss you." I'm like, "Hey, no, you guys are full of shit."
Yeah, that was weird. It was like a backtrack almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Derek? Worst scene?
Worst scene, probably the creation of Ultron. I know they explained it. I don't think they explained it good enough.
When he hijacks Jarvis.
Yeah, well, like, yeah, from there. So Tony and Bruce find this AI that lives in the scepter, and they pull it out of it, and they're like, oh, we can, use this to basically create world peace or whatever they were trying to do with it.
Pete, what is it? What's the line they keep saying? Peace in our time or something?
Yes.
Something.
And it's like, okay, but all of a sudden it's like, okay, you create this kind of blindly, and then all of a sudden it completely takes over your AI system and and does the absolute opposite of what you want and creates a whole bunch of chaos. So, I mean, I just don't think they spend enough time explaining all right, why did Tony just rush into something like this?
Yeah, it was weird because they.
I think Bruce comments on that.
Well, and Tony tells Friday, I think it was Friday, the other AI to keep looking for ways to make it work.
Veronica, maybe.
Veronica, yeah. And they find a way to make it work, and it just clicks and happens, and Ultron just all of a sudden takes over the system, learns everything on the internet, and just instantly internally makes them all bad guys.
Thor. Oh, good. Sorry.
No. I just that whole scene. I agree. How could they let something so powerful take over something so easily?
Yeah,
fast.
There is
way too fast.
There's a line where Thor says in the movie, I think after Ultron escapes because they fight him, Thor goes to Tony. I think he picks him up and he says you messed with something you didn't know how to deal with or whatever, and he's like, this is your fault basically, and Thor's pissed, and he could crush Tony in an instant probably. So. But he knows better. He knows they need Tony Stark. So yeah, that was weird. I think we talked about off camera, where did Ultron get his bad motivation, his evil motivation?
Well, he just went through the internet and he probably saw
I know he saw the wars and stuff. They show him
his motivation is just he's supposed to bring peace to Earth, and he realizes there will never be peace on Earth unless you eradicate humans.
Yeah, but even then, it's Jarvis, because Jarvis tries to calm him down. He's like, "Hey, shut down for a second. I think you're acting hostile," and he's immediately talking back to Jarvis, and
then he breaks.
So
Jarvis.
I'm kind of where did this? Why are you I don't know. I mean, maybe that is the artificial intelligence where it gains a personality of its own, but it's just weird because I was why is
it's also from the scepter, which is nothing good's come from that.
True.
And it's 100% the most volatile villain we've had so far. Even Loki wanted to rule Earth. He didn't want to destroy Earth. So just looking back at it, I mean, he literally just wanted to destroy everything. He literally took Sokovia and was going to destroy it.
Wanda's on his side until she goes into his mind or whatever, and then sees that quick flash of the Earth exploding or whatever, and she's like, yo, she said kill you, destroy the Avengers, not the Earth, and he's like, oh, it's the same thing. And she's yeah.
And that's when they turn.
That's when exactly. Which is
great.
Which is big. So, yeah, I think that kind of sums it up for our worst scenes. So who do you guys think the strongest Avenger? Gary, you got the strongest Avenger on hand?
Yeah, we'll go Mark Ruffalo, Bruce Banner. I liked that you dug a little bit deeper into his character and his kind of building relationship with Natasha, yeah. Good for him. And basically, I think his character built up here and in that aspect, and also once he throws Ultron out of the spacecraft at the end, and Natasha comes over and starts talking to him, he just turns it off, and you don't really know where he goes or what he's doing, and he kind of says that to her a bunch of times during the film, I can't live a normal life, I can't go places, I can't be who you want me to be. So we mentally don't know where he's at this point in the film, like the film series. That's why I really think there was a lot of mystique to his character in this, which I liked. I think everyone else, there were a couple other really good characters, but I think as far as the Avengers we already knew in this film, they didn't build on their character. Like the most was probably Thor lashing back at Tony and Captain disagreeing with some stuff, so we started to realize some trouble in paradise there. But I think the biggest, basically, change of pace with the character came from Hulk, and so I'll give him the strongest Avenger in this. Also, had plenty of hand in helping out to save the Earth at the end.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Vic? You have the strongest Avenger?
I'm gonna go with a couple of the sidekicks, Clint and Natasha for me, and they kind of show both sides. Like they showed that they're badass spies and assassins and things like that, but they also showed a lot of their human side in this one. Like Natasha was clearly shifting up after her mind was taken over. At the end, it shows Natasha and Clint like struggling on the plane as they're leaving Sokovia. Like they just got their asses kicked for hours, and they show so much emotion, and it just shows like they truly are humans. Natasha talks about how she can't reproduce and have babies.
It's a big scene.
So I mean, just how in depth they go into their personal life and emotions, on top of still just being normal humans that have to be superheroes. It really shows a lot, and it's kind of like Tony has his suit, right? We know that, but Tony's still human. So obviously, at the end of all of this, like we know how much that hits. But for these two, I don't know. They hit me different. A little shout out. I loved Wanda and Quicksilver. I thought they were great little additions. Smaller roles in this, but Wanda obviously accelerates through the rest of it. But great little additions to the universe for sure.
Yeah. For me, branching off of that, I think Wanda is my strongest Avenger. Actually,
she was great
because she's like a brand new character. She's super powerful throughout the whole movie. We actually get to see like a small like arc of hers because she starts off kind of evil or helping Ultron, and then we talked about she sees that vision where he wants to destroy the planet, and she's not evil. She's like, whoa, we don't want to do this.
She was trying to do for the good. Whatever the good was, that's what she wanted to be a part of.
Exactly, and they were prisoners, the twins in the beginning too. So and they've been like probably tortured by Hydra too.
Experimented on everything.
Yeah, that's how they get their power. I think, right? Is that what they say?
Yes.
I think it's implied that way because.
But they have a flashback where they get they hate Tony initially because they get the Stark bomb or whatever, and the first bomb goes off, and then they say the second one's like 3 feet from their face, but it never goes off. And I was like, but I don't
think their parents died.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't think that's how they got their powers.
No. But I love the scene just based off of that, like how they're clearly just for the greater good, and they were confused in the beginning, but at the end, when Fury shows up with the ship, and Quicksilver goes, so this is S.H.I.E.L.D., and Cap's like, well, this is what S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be. He goes,
he's like, pretty good.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
So it's...
And then he makes the ultimate sacrifice.
He does.
By saving Clint and that little boy or whatever.
And we talked about this earlier. He's the first Avenger to die. And I know he's not a full-blown Avenger yet.
But he was ready to join them.
Yeah. So I think he's the first one to die.
Yeah, he gets introduced he's introduced in like a post-credit scene a couple movies ago, but this is the first movie where he like is introduced and then dies by the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's like but yeah, I just think Wanda was like, I mean, she like wrecks at the very end. She like when Ultron ends up killing Quicksilver, her twin, she then gets like pissed and she goes over when he's like thrown into the bus, and like she literally just like rips his heart out. Like they give him like a heart, like vibranium on it. So that was a little cheesy, but she like takes it out, and she like she plays later roles too. Like not jumping too far ahead, but like she plays a huge role in like Infinity War too, and I think Endgame too. So it's like she's super powerful. She's learned to control her abilities, and like I said, she's
in Civil War too. I mean, she's great.
Yeah, she's super powerful. Elizabeth Olsen, I think, is just really good as that character, and it's like she just impressed me from start to finish.
Yeah, no, she was good. It's a good choice.
But what do you guys think for baby arms this week?
Want me to start off?
Whoever's ready to go.
Go for it.
Arms. Tony Stark. Tony Stark created Ultron. Tony Stark created the entire problem. Robert Downey Jr. didn't have his strongest, most polarizing appearance in this franchise, in this movie. I think for the first time in any Iron Man movies or Avenger movies, kind of took a back seat.
He's a negative.
He didn't have as many witty quips as he usually does. He didn't have any drop-in, like he had like one drop-in moment where he kind of made a quick remark towards Ultron, but just what made him so polarizing and kind of entertaining in the other previous films wasn't there as much in this film. And that's not a bad thing because helps push the other Avengers and give them more of the spotlight. But I think if I had to pick someone, I think since he created the problem and he didn't really stand out amongst anything else in the film, I'm just going to go with him as my baby arms.
Yeah, he's kind of cocky in this movie too. Where like there's a scene where he's like, "I'm sorry, do you not remember me putting the nuke up through New York?" And I was like, that was the first time where I was like, "Oh, Tony, you're being kind of a dick right now."
And it's funny because we've talked about how he's like turning a page.
Yeah, how he's becoming more like
a hero. Like he's willing to sacrifice himself, but then he talks about it. Like
he does take a step back, I think, in this movie.
Yeah, you can't brag about it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So baby arms for me is going to be Nick Fury in this one. Like he's not in it a bunch, but like I just thought he kind of plays like a useless role in here where he comes in. I think it's Maria Hill, Robin Scherbatsky, where she says like, last time I saw, she's like, this time I saw you, I thought you'd have something more for me, or like, because he doesn't really do much. I know he comes in later with like the helicarrier, but like, I just thought him being in this movie kind of felt unnecessary. Where it's like, they get the helicarrier at the end to save like the people of Sokovia, but like, I just think they could have either found a different way or found someone else to like work on that, because I don't know. It seems like Nick Fury is like very connected to Shield, and now that Shield is kind of dismantled, it's. I mean, they're trying to rebuild Shield as like Shield 2.0. Cap does say like this is what Shield is supposed to be, but like I just thought Nick Fury didn't like bring much. But again, he doesn't get a ton of screen time, so I think kind of by default he gets my baby arms this week.
Okay. For me, it's Thor, and it's not a huge gripe with Thor. It was just the whole movie. He kind of bothered me a little bit. It's just something about Thor and when he wants to turn on his powers and when he doesn't, and it drives me crazy because he is such a dominant force when he wants to be, and other times he's like taking a backseat to Tony and Cap. Like I feel like anytime there's a big war scene, Tony and Cap are working twice as hard. And it's like he's a god and he has way more natural powers than both of them, but he's always taking a back seat. And I don't know, like he wasn't bad in this. I don't think anybody was really bad in this. I didn't think there was any weak points. Ultron could be a little annoying here and there as far as a bad guy, but overall, I think a lot of the characters did a pretty good job. I mean, I've been really hard on ScarJo through the whole universe. I thought she was great in this. Clint wasn't just playing a sidekick anymore. I feel like he was propelled into this a little bit more. So there really weren't any weak characters. It's just I have a gripe with Thor, and I love Thor. Like I love Thor.
He's not great in this movie.
It's just I don't know. Like just be a fucking badass.
Until we get to Ragnarok, and then you're gonna love Thor.
Yeah. I mean, Ragnarok's a different beast. Might be number one overall.
Feels like a whole different character, really.
Yeah. So no real bad character in this for me.
Yeah, it's a strong cast, and like we touched on Clue, and Andy Serkis's character, which is cool since we watched Out of Order Black Panther. Like, when I first watched Age of Ultron, I didn't like. Obviously, we hadn't seen Andy Serkis's character in Black Panther yet. So like when I first watched this, I was like, I don't know who this random guy is. They actually mentioned Wakanda, really, which is really cool.
Which we would have had no idea what that was.
Yeah, at the time we still didn't really, but like it's cool because since we rewatched Out of Order Black Panther, it's really cool to see these callbacks in here, or well, I guess foreshadowing in this case. But that was cool. And then and we find out that's how he loses his arm. When he's got the arm cannon in Black Panther because Ultron just cut. He like loses his temper because he calls him a Stark. And I was like, oh wow. Although he's like not screaming or. I mean, I know it's movie acting.
Does he apologize too?
Yeah, probably.
I think Ultron apologizes. Like
because he loses his temper. He's like, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be fine. I think he says, I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. That's cool though, because they mentioned vibranium in Wakanda, and we get Clue, and it's like that's really cool because it plants those seeds. What would you guys give this a score out of 10? So Vic, you want to go first for what you got for a score for this movie?
I'm actually pretty high on this. You're gonna be shocked. We'll go over rankings after, but I'm giving it 8.6.
Oh wow.
I know I said it has a lot of action, but it's not too much action. And the team is coming together, and I like seeing it. I love the new characters. I'm very high on Jarvis or Vision. Very high on Wanda, Quicksilver. Falcon's in it a little bit. They reference Bucky at one point. it's very in depth. Like it really feels like it's warming up to the big picture later down the road. So for me, I'm giving it 8.6. I'll tell you where that drops off after I hear your guys' scores.
Cool. Gary, what do you got for a score for this one?
I'm coming in at like a 7.7,
Okay.
which for me is pretty high. I do like it for all the backstory and all the foreshadowing it gives. The action's great. There's really no weak Avengers, so it's bad scenes. So it's a fun movie to watch. You can throw it. It's not the best, but you can throw it on and rewatch it at any time. So I think 7.7 is good. I put it up there with some of the better Marvel movies up until this point.
Yeah, and I think this is what's interesting between our rankings because like an 8.6 for you,
It's
for
very
me,
high.
for me that's like middle of the pack, but for you that's a higher score, and I think Gary, you tend to score lower.
Yep.
So like yeah,
But 7.7 might seem much lower than the 8.6, but on the scale that I've been going off of,
yeah,
it's actually on the higher end. So
Yeah,
it's-
you're a tougher critic.
It's I leave the 9s for like game changing films, and then I
That's
leave
fair.
the 8s for great, and then the 7s are this is really good, but I want to give you room to improve.
yeah, yeah. That's fair, and I think that's what's nice too. We all have kind of different styles for reviews. I'm gonna give this one an 8.1. I like this movie. It's kind of forgettable, even though like we can't really pick a worse scene. But like we were talking off camera, and we were kind of like already forgetting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a one-dimensional plot where it's like, yeah, Ultron is awesome, and like I think it's James Spader. Well,
It is James Spader.
it is, yeah.
Yep.
He does an awesome job. His voice is super cool, but like it's kind of just like bad guys created. He's trying to take over the world. They have to stop him.
The biggest issue with where they missed on that, like the whole action thing, is that they briefly talked about how he can take over almost anything because he's
In the internet.
He's in the internet,
Mhm.
and he can just take over like whatever, like which doesn't exactly make sense to me. But because he has so many different bodies that he created or robots, he literally is everywhere, and I think that's why the action is like nonstop. But it's
There's
just
so
it's
many
too-
enemies to defeat.
Yeah, it's just like too much. Like they kill. There's literally one scene where they kill Ultron, and then he flies right up in a new body, and
You
he's
get like numb to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is a downside for the movie, but if they explained it better, it would have been a higher rating for me.
Yeah.
But they don't, and it's just like go 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 the whole time.
It's like they had a really good idea, and they hit on a lot of it, but it like you said, Garrett, for your rankings, like there's room for improvement. Or like I feel like they could have had like a masterpiece, but they weren't quite there yet.
Well, I'm interested. The director was Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon.
Whedon?
Yeah, he does others. He's like a bunch of. If you look him up, he's got like a bunch of.
Did he do other Marvel
I
movies?
think so. We'll keep this part in. What do we got there, Vic, for some
Yeah,
more
let's
director?
find this out real quick because I'm always interested in that. Because remember we talked about Jon Favreau.
Yeah,
So he did do. Oh no, he wrote
he's like a big time
The
director.
Avengers.
But what else did he do?
Agents of Shield,
Okay. The TV
Justice League. I think he directed.
Oh yeah, so
Justice
he's like a
League.
DC guy kind of.
Yeah, wow, he directed Justice League. Interesting. That's very interesting.
Well, the first one until the next one.
yeah.
Comes out.
Nothing really out. Cabin in the Woods.
He's a big name guy though.
Yeah, for sure.
Cabin in the Woods is a good movie.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he was a writer for. He wrote the Avengers, the original one.
See, like,
Agents of Shield. I mean,
a lot of these I think that you're naming off, they all kind of fall in this ballpark where it's a good, like I would say above average, but it's not quite like a masterpiece for me. Like,
yeah.
so I think that's where like he's a good director and like he did well, but that's kind of where this movie hits home, or not hits home, but like that's where it falls for me, where it's like, yeah, this is a good, like I said, like an 8.1, where it's like, I like this movie. I will watch it if it's on, but like I wouldn't like go out of my way to watch it. I would much rather watch like
I agree.
like Homecoming that we're gonna see, Ragnarok, of course. Like there's other things that slot ahead of this, so not a bad film by any means, but certainly not the best.
So, ironically, like I agree with all those points, but I rank this pretty high, and it's all based around the characters, and I don't know how to explain it. I think like Clint and Natasha really just like brought it over the top, and like how they're like actually a team now. They're not still getting to know each other. Like they know each other now, and I feel like that kind of resonated with me a little bit more. So for me, this falls to number 2.
Okay.
And I know that's high, so
Now let me ask you, Vic, not to interrupt you. When you rank these, what kind of factors do you put in there? Like, is it like rewatchability? Is it like movie on its own? Like, what when you're ranking these in your head or on paper?
So there's definitely movies that I would watch before this on my list, but like I don't know, there was just something about it. So I rewatched this a few months ago because I knew I hadn't in a while.
Mhm.
And it was before we even talked about this. And I was like, that's actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
And I like it better. And I'll tell you, so Black Panther I have number 1 still.
Mm.
Age of Ultron 2. And the original Avengers number 3. And, like, I feel like the original Avengers is too, like, I don't know, like...
Cookie cutter,
like, cinematic, like... The action isn't, like, very realistic. So you remember the one scene in Avengers when they're in the circle towards the end and they're fighting together?
the shot where they...
Yeah, like, this scene, they did the same thing inside the little church
Yeah.
today. And, like, that one was way more badass.
Yeah.
Like, and it wasn't as cheesy, and it wasn't, like, they had a couple of slow-mo scenes, which I hate slow-mo in action movies. I don't know why, but I don't know. It just something resonated with me a little differently with this one. And when I look at it, you know, Winter Soldier is definitely up there for me. I think it's more entertaining than the Iron Mans, more entertaining than the first Cap. You know, Winter Soldier, it's probably right there with the 2 Avengers for me, but it's just, I don't know. So it just hit me a little differently rewatching it again.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good.
So you're more of a fan of the team up movie, kind of like the
It's
obviously
fun.
the Avengers movies for you. I think you put them higher than.
Yeah, it's complex, it's fun.
Or like I would probably focus more on like the singular. I like the singular stories more.
Which is fair. I mean, when we like, Ant-Man's got a pretty good rating for me. I mean, we'll see.
Spoilers.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. What about you, Gary? Where would you rank this one?
Where would I put
Does it crack your top 5?
I don't think it did. Let's pull it back up. Sorry. Yeah, it comes in right below Black Panther. I put it at number 7 on my list.
7.
Oh yeah,
7,
Black Panther
it
down
comes
low.
in right above Guardians 1 and below Black Panther at number 7.
So what do you have, just to remind myself and the audience, what do you have for a top 5?
Top 5 right now, without spoilers, we're going to go Avengers, Iron Man, Winter Soldier, Captain America 1, and then technically we're going into Black Panther.
Okay, and you said this one slots in at 7?
Yep.
Okay, so just outside the top 5?
Just outside of top 5. Doesn't crack it. I like it. I don't love it. I think it does a lot for the MCU universe. But in terms of if I'm going to like sit down, if I see this on television versus say Winter Soldier, I'll go Winter Soldier over
Me
this.
too. Word. All right. Well, we're just gonna be a little peek behind the curtain here. I'm just gonna use Vic's phone for the rankings that I have since my phone is recording. So it doesn't crack top 5 for me. It's actually similar to Garrett's. My rankings are a little bit different, but for me, this is actually also gonna go in at number 7. So I have Captain America: Winter Soldier number 1, then Captain America: First Avenger. I'm a big fan of those movies. Then I have Black Panther. Then Iron Man 2. Then the original Iron Man. Then I have Guardians 1, and then I have this movie sliding right there. So right above Iron Man 3 for me. I think this is a good movie. I think we've kind of echoed the same feelings where we all like this movie, we think it's good, but I mean there's just so many good movies in the MCU, and I feel like we've seen a couple of better ones already, and like I think there's better ones to come. So like I don't know, hindsight is 20/20, but it's hard to not put that in the back of your head too, like the movies that are coming up where you, like you said, Gary, kind of room for improvement or room to expand. It's like, I don't know, that it's middle of the pack for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so that's pretty much our thoughts on Avengers: Age of Ultron. So again, thank you guys for joining us. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. Please go check out the other videos there that we've got everything up to Ultron. Next week we are going to be doing Ant-Man. It's Paul Rudd. So I think this one kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone really cared about Ant-Man or even saw. I think it did really well. We'll maybe look up some box office numbers next week. But I think we all probably enjoyed Ant-Man. And
yeah, it's pretty good.
I think it took a lot of people by surprise. So, but until next time.
Cool.
Peace.